Hi everybody, Tyler here with Sparkle with Tyler, and today I'm doing a WIP Chat. I was watching Lindsay from EmeraldsandFairyLights WIP Chat, and I really enjoyed her Halloween tag that she was doing with all the questions, so I thought I would participate and do that. So I have my Firefly Diamond Art Drills and Chills tray. I think this is just like an Amazon pin, honestly, and I have my Slim 4-placer from DAC. And I am ready to go on my second canvas for Drills and Chills. This is Magic Arcades by Miss Holly. So I figured let's get cracking. And I think there's like 36 questions when I went through and counted them all. So I'm hoping to get through them all. We will see. The first one is, do you have a favorite horror or Halloween themed song? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. I think I've mentioned on here before that my house is totally Nightmare Before Christmas. I have a Nightmare Before Christmas tree that stays up all year round. So one of my favorite, if not my favorite song and one of my favorite soundtracks of all time is Nightmare Before Christmas. If I had to choose a second favorite, it would probably be Beetlejuice. So those I would say are my first two, hands down. But if I had to choose like one song ever, it would probably be Hail to the Pumpkin King. But yeah, you turn that on, I'm going to know the words and I'm going to sing along to any of those Nightmare Before Christmas songs. Really, any Tim Burton movie is going to have something because Danny Elfman's doing those soundtracks. Number two, name something you wouldn't want to run into in a dark forest or in an abandoned building. First of all, you're not going to find me there. I do not want to be in a big spooky building. I don't want to be in a dark forest. But if I'm in any of those places, I don't want to really run into anyone I don't know. I don't want to run into anything. I'm kind of a scaredy cat. You're going to probably get that vibe really fast from these questions. I wouldn't want to run into any person or anything I don't know. And I don't want to run into anything spooky or weird. Yeah. I used to have to walk in this really kind of dark, spooky area between classes when I was in college. I had to take like the back route between classes at night between one of my classes. It was super late. It was super dark. My final class got out at like 10 p.m. and it was spooky and I was not a fan and I had to walk super duper fast. I had 15 minutes to get like half a mile with all my books and it was up and downhill. And I remember just always being really spooked by that. And I did not want to run into anyone or anything. But I think nothing. And I wouldn't want to be by myself. I don't think it says anything in here. Name something you wouldn't want to run into. It doesn't even say with other people. I just don't want to run into, I want to be with someone and I don't want to run into anything. And I want it to be well lit. Number three, if you were dared to spend the night in a haunted house, would you do it? No. Just straight up, no thank you. I don't mess with things I don't understand. And if someone says a place is haunted, nope, no thank you. Now I'm thinking about it. Depends how much money there is. And there would have to be like stipulations here, right? Like, are we talking about like a comical haunted house? Are we talking about like one at Knott's Scary Farm? I think this question though is alluding to like a haunted house in New Orleans that has a history and bad things happened and that kind of thing. No, I don't think so. There would have to be a lot of money involved. And I don't mess with things I don't understand. And there's just a little too much in this world I don't understand, and a little too much stuff has happened. So the answer is very likely no way, Jose. Number 4, are you superstitious? So when I first was watching Lindsay's video, my knee-jerk reaction was to say, no, I'm not superstitious. And then she answered the question, and I think she said something to the effect of, I'm a little stitious. And I realized that, oh yeah, maybe I'm not superstitious, if that makes sense. Um, I kind of subscribe to the belief of like, well, it doesn't hurt you, right? So, um, knock on wood's a good example. If something, if you can knock on wood, you just do it, right? Because it can't hurt you. You don't say things that you don't want to happen. So, yeah, I guess maybe I am a little bit and didn't realize it, but again, don't mess with things you don't understand. Don't bring don't bring bad juju into into the mix. Um, just because, again, don't mess with things you don't understand. I certainly don't subscribe to like black cats are bad. That I do not subscribe to. But in terms of um, bringing bad vibes into a situation, yeah, I don't mess with Ouija boards. Certainly anything to do with like death and ghosts, I don't mess with that stuff. I like there's just some, particularly things like knock on wood. I started cracking up. I'm like, I do that all the time. Um, so I do believe in things like Friday the 13th. I think sometimes things get weird. I knew someone who was born on a Friday the 13th, and that poor woman, she's a woman now, but that poor girl at the time was literally the most unlucky human being I had ever met. I It was crazy. Like, I didn't know when I first met her that she was born on Friday the 13th. I knew she had a 13th birthday. Um, it was awful. So, and then I know some people who are physicians who swear that the ER is always worse on full moons. So it's weird little things like that. So I guess if I maybe I'm a little more superstitious than I originally thought, but hey, if it doesn't hurt, why not, right? I'll take a little luck on my side. Um, I think the two that I subscribe to the most are like knock on wood. I definitely knock on wood a lot, and I will stop myself from saying something if I don't want it to happen. Like, oh, not going there, not gonna say it because then something silly will happen. Um, so I always think it's funny. Um, I didn't realize that I was subscribing to those behaviors. Um, Number 5, which urban legend scares you the most? This one I have to think about. So, okay, urban legends. There's a lot of like, I guess it depends what you define as an urban legend, right? Like, I guess the one that pops into my head, the quickest in terms of what is an urban legend is like La Llorona from New Mexico. But that's not one. I don't live in New Mexico. I have a lot of family that lives in that area. But I think in terms of the one I'm most afraid of, I don't know. I think trauma wise, and I will get into this later, is probably Bloody Mary. Um, but I don't know. I think that in general, it's just I don't know. I don't really know how to answer this one. I guess I feel like I'm copping out by saying that, but there are some weird ones like some weird urban legends that have turned out to have some truth to them, or some half truths. Um, but anything where people are going out into dark areas at night and making bad decisions to try and go find urban legends, uh, I would not recommend. I think that's just asking for trouble. Um, there there are some, I guess this isn't urban legends, or maybe it is. I don't know. You'll have to make your own decision. The urban legends or stories about haunted houses. So, um, in San Diego, I think is a good example. Like I think the Winchester, not the Winchester House, the Whaley House is considered one of the most haunted houses in America. Um, and so I guess if you consider that an urban legend, like I'm not going there. I'm not going to find out. That place scares the crap out of me. The Winchester House scares the crap out of me. I'm not going to those places. So I guess in general, just places that are haunted, known to be haunted, I'm not going there. Those scared me pretty bad. I'm not messing with that stuff. Um, not inviting that into my bubble. Um, do you get scared easily? Yes. I do. Depends on what it, I guess it depends on what it is. So I don't like to be jump scared. I I don't like to be scared intentionally. I don't like creepy stuff. I like funny scary. I don't I've never thought it was fun or kind or funny to go out and scare someone. I get spooked pretty easy. I really like that my dogs are around. I like that thing one and thing two are around when I'm not necessarily around other people because, they're good dogs. They let me know when people come around. Um, I don't I don't like when people intentionally try and scare people. I may have said that, but it is a really big core value of mine. I've been out and about sometime like many, many years ago. It was over a decade now, and someone decided it was funny on Halloween when we were looking at decorations to jump scare me out of a bush. And it just, I mean, it scared me so bad I just started sobbing. And part of that I think is because of sensitivity to like mental health. I I try and be sensitive to what other people may have gone through. Um, I don't know what someone's story is, and they don't know what my story is. So someone may have been through something extremely traumatic where like jumping out at them could be a really bad trauma trigger. Um, and so for me, I guess it's just really not funny. But some people it's fine, and like in their world it's fine. It just for me, not so much. That that event still to me, I think about it and it's a pretty intense experience because my body was like, this person's trying to kill you. So, and my reaction was to fight. It was not to flight. So, um, I almost like punched this poor person in the face when we were just trying to have this joke, and I remember going, that's not funny. But yeah. So I scare easily, but it's also situational. Like if I was out and about and, it was a day-to-day thing, I might not scare easily if someone just approached me at the grocery store. I can hold my own there, something like that. I've worked with some big burly people, and them coming up to me and being nasty doesn't necessarily scare me, if that makes sense. I don't like spooky stuff. Um, 7. Have you ever played Bloody Mary? Um, this is the reason I am still afraid of the dark and mirrors. So when I was younger, how do I even say this? I don't think I'll ever talk to this person again. So when I was very young, someone that I will call my cousin locked me in the bathroom. I wasn't even 10 years old. I think I was like 6 or 7. Locked me in the bathroom and did the whole Bloody Mary thing and turned the lights off, whatever, and left me in there and didn't let me out until I'd been screaming, screaming, screaming. And I think it was my dad came and got me. So to this day, I don't like mirrors. I don't like being in the bathroom in the dark. None of it. And it's been a long, long, long time. So I have not played that game. but someone played it for me as a really nasty joke, and as a result, I still want nothing to do with mirrors. I try and even avoid them when I don't have to be around them. I don't like them, they scare me. I don't even want a full-length mirror in my regular standard rooms. Someday if we ever get like a house, I'm ripping any closet door mirrors off immediately. I don't want them in my house. It's that kind of situation. So, yes, no, I don't know. Number 8, you're home alone and you hear footsteps in your house. What do you do? In my house, the first thing I'm going to do is check the doorbell and check the calendar. And by then, I'm hoping the dogs are already going to have alerted to what's going on. I mean, that's the realistic answer. Assuming all of that and nothing else, there's no logical explanation, I'm gonna have a minor moment of panic and then start trying to figure out what's going on. I definitely believe there are things in this world that we cannot explain, but my first my first instinct's going to be that there's probably someone doing construction on the roof. I'm going to fast forward and assume like we're talking about ghosties though. So that would be a bad time. That would be a really bad time. I would basically try and be like, do not eat me, do not hurt me, and I would get out of there as fast as I could. I would be at the neighbor's house so fast. And I would not be by myself. I would make sure I ended up with someone else that I trusted, just because sometimes you just need someone else to know that you're experiencing something and you need them to experience your reality in that kind of situation. Whether or not they experience the same thing, just sometimes someone seeing your affect when you're in that kind of level of intensity creates, I guess what's a word I'm looking for? It doesn't want to say justify, but if someone sees that you're in such a level of like, this is real, this is like what I'm experiencing right now, it helps demonstrate that you're not bananas. Maybe someone in the comments below can help me with the wording for that. I'm not saying it well, but like in my brain, I know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Number 9. If you got trapped in one scary movie, what would you choose? I don't watch scary movies that much. I think some movies that are not typically scary can be scary in the same way like some, like all good dramas are comedies and all good comedies are dramas. Typically the movies that I watch that are considered like scary by my standards are going to be like the Tim Burton movies. And some of those honestly are kind of creepy. So if I had to choose kind of a spooky or scary movie, I'd probably go with something like Beetlejuice, or honestly probably like Beetlejuice or Nightmare. And the reason is because in Beetlejuice you get a handbook for the dead. There's a whole handbook. They tell you exactly what to expect, and I think it's probably going to be my answer. I think you get a caseworker, which is more than a lot. Like that's more than I have. Like right now, I don't have a caseworker. You get like policies, procedures, all of that. Like that's what's up. You get to, I mean, there's a waiting room and all of that, but you know what's happening. I don't want to give any spoilers away for Beetlejuice, but there is like, if you've seen it, there's a scene that I really, really like. Like there's uh, uh, to go to the great beyond. Like that seems pretty fun. So if I'm going to be trapped in a scary movie, at least I know what the expectations are, and I would get a whole manual on it. Sorry, this is thing one here, and it is stuck. Let's see. Number 10. If you could only wear one Halloween costume for the rest of your life, what would it be? Okay. My knee-jerk reaction on this is anything where I don't have to wear I don't want to get demonetized, but a BRA. Um, anything where I don't have to wear that because I want to be comfortable. Um, let's I don't know though. I was thinking about this too, and I was like, what if I want to travel? It has to be something practical, right? Like, yes, I love cute stuff, but it has to be practical. So this is really silly and probably kind of dumb, but I was like, maybe I could be a fly fisher or something, like where they have all those pockets, something with like khakis, because then I could just like go on a plane and be comfortable and have cargo shorts, and then I could just like not even have carry on. I could just put everything in my pockets. It's really silly, but maybe that. Or if I had to wear like a costume, maybe I could wear something that was just comfortable and layered because I want to be able to be comfortable, right? That's the key word I'm going for here. I've worn some costumes over the years that are not comfortable, and I wore them because I wanted to look good. So, whatever it is, I want to be comfy. That's what it boils down to. Um, yeah, I might come back to that one though, because I'm still having a hard time with that one. Number 11. Would you ever go to a graveyard at night? Maybe. The answer to that is a definite maybe. It depends on the place. So there are different vibes at different places, right? So if you go to a graveyard that's 200 years old and it's not well lit and it's in the middle of nowhere, it probably isn't like it probably doesn't have a very inviting vibe, for lack of a better word. But if you're gonna go to somewhere that is like a super well lit, I don't know. I've never been here, but I'm just gonna use it as an example. Say like the Hollywood Hills or something. I don't even think that's the name of it. But where like Marilyn Monroe is buried or something, and it's very well lit, and there's high security, and there's people in and out all the time. That's a very different feeling, very different atmosphere than somewhere that's like very historical, very, you know, old and possibly damp. Like, I'm not going to the catacombs or anything like that, but if it's just a hallway and it's serene and it's quiet and it's well lit and it's just very respectful and calm, maybe. If it's like old London and you're by yourself out in the middle of nowhere, uh-uh. Especially if it's not lit and it's going to be hazy and it's going to be your like stereotype graveyard in the middle of the night, Scooby-Doo style. I'm out of there. You're not even going to probably get me in there during the day. Um, there's actually, I will put maybe a link to their channel. There's a YouTuber his channel's called Dead Good Walks. And there's some of his stuff I can't even watch because it spooks me so bad. So he's a great YouTuber. He just basically takes you around to all these really historical places. But if some of that stuff's spooky during the daytime, imagine how it is at night. So yeah, maybe. The answer is maybe. Um, in a zombie apocalypse, what is your weapon of choice? Well, first and foremost, let's be real. I'm not gonna have made it. I would I'm not going to have made it through the zombie apocalypse. I'm not that good. And frankly, I don't know if, yeah, zombie apocalypse would not be a good time. But if I had to choose a weapon of choice, that's a hard one because you want a quiet weapon that doesn't draw attention from zombies or other people, and you want something that you can easily get ammunition for. So like a crossbow's kind of hard to get ammunition for because you need to reload that thing unless you're making your own ammo. I don't know. I'm not an archer in any capacity. I guess if you are an actual like longbow or shortbow archer and you knew how to fletch your own arrows, that would work. But certainly wouldn't want a gun. I wouldn't want a martial weapon because that's like a hammer or a sword or anything like that. Because you're too close to the zombies, you're going to get covered in all kinds of icky. I think ideally, if I had infinite ammunition, I'd want something like a bow. But the real answer is I'm not going to have made it, so I don't have to worry about it. 13. Would you rather go to a Halloween party or go trick-or-treating? I would rather stay at home. But if I have to choose between those, I think I'd rather go to a Halloween. If the Halloween party is super low key and it's just my friends and we're just chilling and I can either stay there for the night and not drive, or I can walk to it, that's going to be the best. And the reason I say that is because one time I had to drive, I don't think I was driving, I think it was a passenger. We had to drive through the neighborhood on Halloween, and it was really scary. This was before COVID. And there was just little humans darting in front of the car, and even though we were driving so careful, it's something that has stuck with me for a very, very long time, how scary and how dangerous it was for us, for them, and it's not something I want to put anyone at risk for if you don't have to. So I don't want to necessarily go trick-or-treating because I still don't like to go out very much, with times being what they are. And I don't really want to put another car out on the road if possible, but I'm also not the most social butterfly all the time. So if I could just like go out for a little bit, walk out there and head home, or if it's super low key, like we're gonna watch a movie or two, that's my kind of Halloween party. Or if we could play board games, I'm a big board game fan. Yeah. So I guess party, but like my party's pretty chill. Okay, 14. You're in a horror movie and you are you're in a horror movie. Are you the final girl, the first to die? Okay, so these are the different tropes. You're in a horror movie. Are you the first girl? Are you the final girl, the first to die, the comic relief, the skeptic, the smart one, or the killer? Um, I think I'm the smart one in these tropes. So, um, I'm definitely not the first to die unless it's a really smart killer. I'm not the killer. I'm not funny enough to be comic relief. I'm not the skeptic because if someone tells me, "Hey, everyone's dying," I'm like, "Okay, let's get the heck out of here," because like if my friend's in the bathroom for 20 minutes, I'm going to check on him anyway. If like all of a sudden another friend disappears, I'm really going to check on him. So yeah, I'm not going to be the final. I'm not going to be the final person because I'm going to have gotten everyone out of there. We're going to have more than one final person. Not going to be the first to die unless we have a really good killer. Not funny enough to be comic relief. I'm not the skeptic. So I guess I'm the smart one because if people start, you know, start disappearing, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to be like team mom. Everyone grab your snack. We're getting out of here. And don't forget to call 911. Well, let me be careful because I don't want YouTube to get all pissed off. everyone call the authorities and we're bouncing. Don't forget to have your GPS tracking on, so in case something happens, your family knows where you are. And, so yeah, I think I'm the smart one in this because that's no different than what I typically do anyway. 15. Are you the one that gets scared or one that does the scaring? I've already answered this. I don't believe in scaring people, and I definitely am a scaredy cat. So, yep, yep, that one's already answered. We don't do scaring in this house, not intentionally. I also, there's often times where like we both have noise canceling headphones in this house, so there were some times where we'll accidentally spook the other person, and there have been some very loud audible like gasps of "Holy moly, you scared the bejeeves out of me." I feel bad for my partner when he does that because I think he just feels terrible. But that's not his fault. That's because I can't hear him and I probably have the Spotify turned on. But that's pretty rare. Usually thing one and thing two have told me that he's incoming. Or even with noise canceling headphones, I can usually hear what's going on around the house. Okay. Number 16. Favorite scary book. Favorite scary book. Unfortunately, I'm at a place in my world these days where I haven't gotten to do a ton of reading. I used to be a pretty voracious reader in school, and I actually was working on reading through all of Stephen King's, I don't know if it's called a bibliography, all of his entire library. I was working on that through college, and I just got to the point, one, where actually I scared myself so bad with some of those books, I actually had to stop reading them. So, my favorite one, though, that's a hard one. I don't know. I really enjoyed the Dark Tower series, but I don't know if you would consider that a scary book. There's scary elements. I enjoyed some graphic novels as well, like 30 Days a Night. I really enjoyed that comic series. Um, hmm. I think probably the scariest book that scared me the most was Salem's Lot. I finished that book. I made myself finish that book because I was one of those people for the longest time that if I started a book, I had to finish it. I had to see it through, even if I just couldn't stand it. I was so scared that I, I just was like terrified about this book, even though I knew that, spoiler alert, it's about vampires. Even though I knew that this was not possible, vampires weren't real, blah, 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 I had spooked myself so bad with this story that when I finished it, I slept with a crucifix around my neck and the lights on for 2 days. I would never read it again, but I don't know that it's my favorite, but it certainly had the biggest effect on me. And I would say that makes it a good book in that regard. It certainly did what it was supposed to do. So, I also always liked Stephen King's writing because it's just a very, I don't want to say informal, but it's a very conversational type of writing. And for me, that flows really well with my brain. So, but I read so much nonfiction now I guess I listen to nonfiction now, that I haven't really gone back to that kind of scary genre. Yeah, but I did read The Dark Tower for the longest. That was a long one. If I had to choose a second one, I think it's called The Long Walk or The Longest Walk, freaked me out, and then Desperation, I think, was the first time I didn't finish a Stephen King book. I had to put it down. It scared me so bad. Really well written characters. To this day, I remember exactly where I had to stop. Freaks me out to this day. Okay. Number 17. What was your first Halloween costume? I don't know. I don't know what my first Halloween costume was, unless you count when my mom was PG. I know what Halloween costume she wore when she was pregnant. So if you count that one, I was a pumpkin. Other than that, I have no idea. Sorry. Number 18. What are you going to be for Halloween this year? I'm going to pretend that I'm well rested and I'm going to go as Dog Mom because, I mean, I guess it's not a costume, but I'm going to dress like I know what I'm doing, that I'm a well prepared dog mom and that I'm well rested. And we don't really have much going on around here, so I'm going to use it as just a night to diamond paint and try and get actually this canvas done. And maybe record. So I guess that means that I'm going to be diamond painting for some wordplay. Number 19. If you could be, sorry, I pulled this from her transcript, so some of it's kind of in gibberish. If you could have a spooky Halloween pet, which would you pick between a black cat, a bat, a rat, or a wolf? Ooh, okay. I love cats, and I definitely love dark animals. I feel like black dogs, black cats, just in general, all the little like creatures of the night, they statistically take the longest to adopt, and they are just they get a bad rap when they really don't deserve it. So my knee-jerk reaction is to say a black cat. Unfortunately, I am allergic and I also do not want to ever clean a litter box. So all else aside, black cat if we're not thinking about any of those things. I think bats are absolutely rad. They're insectivores, they're pollinators, they're just cute, they're fun, but they can carry rabies. I think I'm going about this too literally. Uh, Rats are super cute, super fun, super smart, little cutie babies. So I don't know, I'm not opposed to that either. But no wolves for me. The closest I'm getting to wolves are thing 1 and thing 2, and they already take up so much space on my couch. I do not need a uh, what is it, canine lupus. So if I had to choose between the 3, 4, I would go with black cat. Add another animal to our little brigade of little creatures of the night. Number 20. What is your favorite Halloween or go-to Halloween candy? Reese's. Reese's peanut butter cups. Reese's pumpkins. And then the next close second would be Hershey's. I like chocolate. After that, I don't know. But I definitely like my Reese's peanut butter cups. I can be bribed with Reese's for sure. Number 21. Have you ever DIY'd a Halloween costume? Yes. We were invited at the very last minute one time to a Halloween party, and the rule was if you come in the door, you have to be in costume. So I said, okay, well, what do we have around the house? And I am a crafter by nature, and I went, well, I have a bunch of felts, and I have a black t-shirt, and the other half has basically we had black and white t-shirts, I had felt, and I was like, I can make us basically some crowns, and we have aluminum foil. So I made us into salt and pepper shakers, and I thought it was adorable. I thought it was so cute. I don't know. I don't know if he did. I don't know if other people did. I got some funny looks, which from like the people at the party, which I thought was not very nice. But to this day, I still think it was an adorable costume. I thought it was a great little couple's costume. I loved that it wasn't super expensive. But I don't know. There were some costume snobs there, not my problem. And I would highly recommend it if you need a really cute couple's costume for super, super duper cheap. And you want to go dressed super comfortably because I got to wear my jeans. I got to wear a long sleeve t-shirt when it was cold out, and I got to wear a shirt I already owned with some safety pins, and I got to wear a cute little hat. So A plus for that year in my opinion. Let's see. Number 22. Would you rather spend Halloween in a haunted house or on a ghost bus tour? Okay. I think I have to go back to, like, what is the definition of a haunted house again? If we're talking about, like, the haunted house style at, like, Not Scary Farm, um, actually, I'm going to use Not Scary Farm as my example. If I can go to, like, Not Scary Farm and use a no boo necklace, which is where you can wear the necklace and they don't run up to you and scare you, I'd probably go there because there's food. But I'm not going to a haunted house like the Whaley House or the Winchester House. I'm not messing with that. I'm telling y'all. Um, but if I have to do one of the two, and like there's a bus tour, I mean, I guess I'll go hang out, like, and go around on a bus tour. It depends where it is. Because, like, worst case scenario on the bus tour, you get on the bus, and a lot of the times, like, the docents or whatever we're going to call them, the tour guides, they know about the city, so you're going to learn about the city too. I think I did, I mean, this is ages ago now to give you context. I think this is probably 20 years ago almost. I went on like a haunted city tour, and the person who was taking us around town, they were also really, really knowledgeable about the city and the history of the city. So even if you're not a ghost person, right, you can go on these tours and learn kind of about the weird history of your city. So like the history of the morgue or the history of the original cemetery, etc. So I don't know. I think you kind of get goodness out of either of them. But yeah, you're not getting me near that haunted house. Ain't happening. Um, 23. Would you rather just dress up as a classic monster? Example, which clown, vampire, or movie character pop culture reference? I guess it depends on the movie character pop culture reference, because movie character pop culture reference could be like Beetlejuice. It could be a classic vampire. It could be Pennywise. It could be a lot of different things and people. So, I think for me, I'm gonna say pop culture reference, but it's a little bit of a cop out because the pop culture reference actually encompasses all of the other ones. Um, Especially now that so many of these movies have been remade. But I think in terms of what I would choose for those costumes, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna go as Ray Gun or whatever the breakdancer's name is. I would probably choose something like pop culture reference. I'm not really in with current pop culture. Is that terrible? I'd probably choose like an 80s movie, like or actually, you know what? You know who I want to be if I ever dress up again and do like a really good costume? I want to go as Gimli. I want to go as Gimli. So, and I want to be able to run around and yell to people and my axe for like 2 days. Um, I think the last most like pop culturally like understood or in fashion uh, costume that I did was I did at one point have one of those inflatable Tyrannosaurus Rex costumes. I had one for several years, and I can just tell you from experience, they are very difficult to maneuver in. They are hilariously fun, but they are not easy to, they're not easy to be in. I don't know how people run around all day in them because you don't have great line like vision. I wanted to say line of sight. My brain is on D&D today. Um, you don't have great vision, and I remember distinctly there was someone who ran American Ninja Warrior in one, and to this day I don't know how, because you have limited range of motion with your shoulders and stuff too. But I mean, it was really fun. I remember walking into work and I hadn't told anyone. And they didn't even know who it was. So I guess if I have to choose a pop culture reference that's not like Nightmare, or let's just go with Tim Burton, or like an 80s reference, like I think Labyrinth was in the 80s, or like a nerd reference, I would probably go with something like the T-Rex. Um, that was really fun. It did keep me warm. I never got cold in it because the body heat was so contained. So it was easy to wear outside at night. 24. Would you rather attend a pumpkin carving workshop or a fun Halloween party? Pumpkin carving, hands down. I would barter with friends to get the guts out, and in return, I would figure out like how to poke all the holes in the pattern, or do whatever they want, or make soup or something, as long as I didn't have to take the guts out, because I feel like the guts are just, ugh. I don't like the sliminess. Then I would so do pumpkin carving. There was one year I remember I took a piece of Dragon Ball Z fan art and I spent like 5 hours carving this pumpkin, and I wish that I had pictures of it because I was so proud of it. Um, but I don't, because it was back in the olden days. It was like in the MySpace days, to give you context. Um, and it was super duper fun. And again, like I don't really do a lot of like party stuff. So definitely carving pumpkins. I'm sure I would get kind of cut up at some point, but um, I think it would be a good way to just like focus in on something and make some art in a way that I normally don't or can't. Um, let's see. Would you rather watch Twilight or Coraline? Coraline, hands down, Coraline. I actually was fortunate enough to be in Seattle to see I think the company's Leica Studio. Um, I got to see the Coraline House and see the exhibit in Mopop. I think Mopop is called actually the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. I got to go to that museum and actually see the real Coraline House and a bunch of the puppets, and I got to see the box troll puppets, and what's the other one? But basically, that company, I got to see a lot of the props, and that Coraline House is huge. So yeah, the movie's creepy, but I'd much rather see that movie and look at that art, because I really do consider that movie to be incredibly artistic, and also just I think it's, oh, I'm gonna upset some people if I'm not careful, because I know there's a lot of people who really really love the Twilight series. I I'm not a believer in Twilight. I did read the books, but I don't necessarily believe that Twilight exhibits the most healthy relationship behaviors. That's how I'll say it. So, Coraline over Twilight. How about that? I cannot find the drills that I'm looking for. Um, so, yeah. But as a side note, and kind of circle back, if Mopop ever brings back that Leica Studios um, exhibit, or you have an opportunity to see it somewhere else. I don't know if it was a traveling exhibit, but if you ever have an opportunity to go see it, I highly encourage you to do so. If I can find pictures of the house on my phone or something and I can post them, I'll post them like here or something somewhere, maybe at the end. You'll know if they're posted right now. Um, yeah, really, really amazing what that studio did to push forward 3D animation and stop motion animation. I didn't even know until I went to this event or this exhibit. Um, Number 26. Would you rather be eating candy corn or Tootsie Rolls at Halloween? Candy corn. I actually basically stocked up on candy corn, and in grade school or high school or something. I think it was like high school. What we would do is we would buy a ton of candy corn and we would stick it in the freezer and that's what we would eat as snacks during math. Um, and if I could ever go back and apologize to this one teacher, he deserves it. um, this poor man, we tormented him, and I really do mean that. And I really do want to apologize to him if ever I can find him. But we would sit there and eat candy corn in like just one class. And when I talk about eating candy corn, I mean we ate so much of it. We probably bought out the store many, many times over. And there was one brand we would eat. We wouldn't eat any other brands. I still like candy corn, but it can be hard to find. Um, Number 27. Would you rather watch Beetlejuice or Ghostbusters? Beetlejuice. I was super duper excited to find out not that long ago that Beetlejuice is now available on a streaming service I have access to. So I have watched it once or twice since it's come out on that streaming service. And I will probably watch it once or twice more. And I recently took myself on a date and I went and saw Beetlejuice. So I really enjoyed the second one. Bob is pretty rad. I like Bob. Um, so I'm excited to have Beetlejuice come out whenever it comes out on streaming, or I was going to say VHS. Holy moly. Um, when it comes out, I am excited to see it again. So I am very much looking forward to people who dress up as Bob for Halloween. That would be great. But yeah, definitely Beetlejuice. Ghostbusters definitely has a place in my heart, but I didn't grow up on Ghostbusters. Um, I think it was just a little bit before my time, and like people slash really my parents couldn't quite get away with letting me watch Blockbuster. Or not Blockbuster. Oh my gosh, I don't know why it's stuck in my head. Sorry. They couldn't quite let me get away with watching Ghostbusters, but for some reason, maybe because Beetlejuice there was a TV cut, um, they could let me get away with watching Beetlejuice. But as an adult, going back and watching Beetlejuice, I'm like, how in the world was this rated what it was rated? Because certainly not a PG movie, but the ratings have changed, and it's pretty funny. If you go back and watch it now as an adult, you're like, oh, I don't know how they got away with that, but good for them. And they haven't changed the rating. They never will, I don't think. So, pretty funny. Number 28. Would you rather eat sugar-free candy or candy left over from last year? How much? How much candy are we talking? If we're talking like one or two pieces, I'll eat the sugar-free candy. If we're talking like a pound of it, I'm eating the candy from last year. And if you need to know why, just go look up the reviews of the sugar-free gummy bears on Amazon. That's all I'm gonna say. um, I Sugar-free candy is super important for people who need sugar-free products, but the sugar-free, it's like, I don't think it's sugar alcohol, but whatever they use in it can give you a really bad tummy ache. So I would probably go for the year-old candy, depending on what it is and how it was stored, because year-old candy could have been frozen Reese's chocolate from the freezer. And we have done that, and it saved just fine. You know, frozen candy can save really, really well. In the same way that Thin Mints can save really, really well. Side note and life hack. So it just depends on how and what it is. But if I had to choose between the two, I think the lesser of the two is probably going to be the candy from last year. Let's see. Number 29. Would you rather read a Stephen King novel or watch a Stephen King film? Ooh. Um, some of these are loaded questions. Some of these are, ooh, okay. How am I gonna answer this? It depends. I think for me, I would prefer to read the books or have them on audiobook. Um, and there's a few reasons for that. I don't necessarily know. Here's what it boils down to. In a book, you can put all the details in, right? You can, and in a book, you can really explore intense subjects and really give depth to characters that in 2.5 hours of screen time you just can't get to. That's what it boils down to. And it's when you go to transfer that to a screenplay, it's not it's not the writer's fault of that screenplay that they can't capture all of that. It's not the actor's fault. Um, so when you translate stories to screen, like they can't capture all of that. And when you know the book story first, even if you look at them as two different stories that are like cousins or brothers or sisters or siblings, it's hard not to compare them. So I think that I would rather read the book because you can just you can get to know the characters more, and you can work to create your own universe. That's my opinion. Um, but that being said, there's been a lot of really good adaptations of his work, and I know Stephen King used to have the like $1. What did he call them? I might have to look it up, but basically he had like the $1 licensing agreement for a bunch of his stories, and people have done some really good jobs with that. So if you're unfamiliar with it, basically what he has is like a list of um, his stories that you can license for $1 and make film adaptations, which I think is really cool because it gives people an opportunity to use these stories and explore these stories that they otherwise would not be able to because he's a famous dude. Okay. Number 30. Would you rather decorate Halloween cookies or make spooky cocktails? Halloween cookies. I can't remember the last time I had a drink. I kind of made a conscious decision during COVID that it was no longer my thing, and I'm relatively happy for it. So it wouldn't make sense for me to make cocktails. Um, and honestly, I didn't know how before anyway. So I will say Halloween cookies. Also, there's just something fun about making cookies. Like, for me, it never goes right. Like, my cookies always end up turning just into these weird, discombobulated structures. So there's always, like, we just end up, it turns into this crazy chaos of laughter. And so I think for that reason alone, just I already know if we do cookies, it's just going to turn into this really fun evening, and we're just going to end up laughing till we cry. So, cookies all the way. Let's see. Chocolate candy or fruity candy? Chocolate. I think I've already alluded to that. I like chocolate. I like my Reese's. Um, Again, I can be bribed with Reese's. So, number 32. Scary decorations or cute and colorful Halloween decor? Uh, Both. Um, Give me some Sandy Claus style stuff. I like Tim Burton style stuff where it's a little weird, a little cute, a little spooky, a little off. Um, that's kind of my vibe, but I like this cute spooky. So I don't like gory. I don't like gross. I don't like The Shining. At the end of the hall, spooky twins. Mm-mm. But if you have like two little dogs, kind of, you know, like a play on that, where you have, I kind of just making this up as I go, but let's say that you had two little dachshunds standing on the lawn and they were little skeleton dachshunds, making fun of that, hilarious. I love those 12-foot skeletons so much. I love how people get creative with that. I think those are awesome. So sometimes those can be pretty spooky, but also they're just really creative. So, yeah, that kind of stuff. There's always the inflatables, right? Um, but for the most part, I'm not into like gory, scary, gross. I don't do gross Halloween. I definitely don't want things to be scary, spooky, jump scary. Mm-mm. At the end of the night, I want to be able to go home and sleep. No mirrors, remember? No mirrors. um, okay. 33. Caramel apples or candied apples? Prior to watching Lindsay's video, I did not know there was a difference. I had to learn about this. I genuinely thought they were the same thing. So I apparently like caramel apples. And, you learn something new every day. I used to go to Disneyland during Halloween because I liked to go see the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay that they would do in the Haunted Mansion. And I would always make sure that I stopped by the confectionery and I would get a Nightmare Before Christmas Jack Skellington apple. And so what it would be is it would be a Granny Smith apple dipped in caramel. And then I think they would do chocolate, like dark chocolate, and then they would dip it again, and then they would do white chocolate, and then they would decorate it with Jack's face. Absolutely freaking delicious. And I would always bring one home and I would share it. And yeah, apparently that's a caramel apple. That's not a candied apple. It's got candy, but it's not candied. Um, so you learn something every day. I remember them being incredibly sticky and incredibly delicious. And I definitely recommend if you're up there, they are worth the splurge every once in a while. But they only do those particular apples. I would never see the white chocolate ones any other time of year except for during Halloween. So if you're up there, go grab one. They are so good. Number 34, Hocus Pocus or Halloween Town? I'm obligated to say Halloween Town. I'm obligated. I don't have a choice. But, like, Hocus Pocus is so good. I actually was not allowed to see Hocus Pocus until I was much older. I think I was in middle school when I saw it the first time. And so I don't think I have the same relationship to it that I like do to Nightmare Before Christmas. But I think it's just a really cute movie. I think it's adorable. I definitely relate to like just the witches in that. I think they're hilarious and they're funny. But if I'm gonna have a choice of like, okay, which movie are we watching? It's gonna be Nightmare. I also I love the origin tale of Nightmare and just I think the characters of Nightmare to me are just really cool. So yeah, like who doesn't love Teddy and Ducky? And actually, 3 feet away from me, I have my Nightmare Before Christmas bands, which have Teddy and Ducky on them. So obligated to say Halloween Town, but I love them both. And actually, I wish this was on here, but that Disney movie, I think it's called Halloween Town. I want that one because that grandma on that show was just so sweet. Okay, so 35, apple orchard or pumpkin patch? Huh. I haven't been to a pumpkin patch in a very long time, but the place I want to go is actually an apple orchard. If I had to choose between the two now, I would want to go to an apple orchard. That's just because I think I haven't gone to one and I think it'd be really fun. And also because apple orchards have like cider and apple butter and all of that. I think it would be cool to get some local products that have that kind of stuff. So apple orchard. Also because like shade, I guess that's like, you know, aging Tyler. Hayrides are cool, but I don't think they really appeal to me that much. And I think it'd just be fun to go pick some of my own apples. I don't know. Then I can use them and bake them or make some caramel apples. Maybe I could try to make some candied apples. I don't know. Yeah. And then this is the last one. Hayride or corn maze? I'm going to say hayride. And the reason for that is because well, a couple reasons. One, I don't have a sense of direction. So if I go into a corn maze and I can't see and I'm not with someone who has a sense of direction, I'm not coming out. I'm going to be there a long time. I don't like to get lost. It makes me anxious. Understandably, I think. But also, I don't know, corn maze is like where a lot of these horror movies happen, right? That's like where the scarecrow comes to life and they're gonna eat you. So no thank you. And then also like hayride, I think hayride can be relaxing. I don't know. I guess it depends who's on the hayride with you. Because you could have someone who's not having their best time on that hayride. I don't know. But hayride could be cool. But yeah, no corn maze for me, just no sense of direction and the idea of getting lost in there. If I could drive the tractor at the hayride, that would be the ideal situation. Like, I want to drive the tractor. No hayride, drive the tractor. But yeah, that was really fun. If for some reason Lindsay ends up seeing this, I just thank you so much for putting these all together. I hope she does some for Christmas or the holidays. That would be really fun to do as well. Some of these were head scratchers for me and really made me have to think about, you know, what I like, what I don't like, stuff that I've done in the past. They made me go down memory lane a little bit. I again, I know she did put a lot of work into kind of researching and finding some of these questions. So thank you, Lindsay, for everything you've done. And thank you also for helping to co-host Jill's Drills and Chills this year, because I had a lot of fun. I'm not going to get my second canvas done, but I did get a lot done during this WIP and Chat. So again, if you end up seeing this, thank you. And I've had a really fun time. Thank you. If you're still here, thank you so much. If you stuck around, please put put a puppy dog in the comments if you're still here, since we worked on that familiar today. And I hope you're doing, no, standard Tyler closer. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you have a happy, I cannot talk today. I'm so sorry. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy Halloween. And, you know, I'm going to be here for Season of Spangler and for Jingle Drills and all of that. So I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye.